And welcome to another exciting episode of the Super Fantastic Exchange. Guys, I am super excited to bring to you today none other than Stephanie Anderson. Guys, y'all give it up for Stephanie.
Thank you.
Can you hear them clapping for you, Stephanie?
It's so loud in here.
It's deafening. It is deafening. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Guys, if y'all haven't seen Stephanie Anderson or seen some of the stuff that she's put out there or some of her, speaking engagements or whatever, you guys got to check her out. She's absolutely incredible. Stephanie, I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, no pressure.
None at all.
Thank you so much, Gary. So like you said, my name is Stephanie Anderson. I first and foremost am a wife and a mom of three. So my first priority every morning is taking care of my three children. Many people refer to them as the trilogy because they're all T's. And so Tyler, Tinsley, and Taylor are my entire world. They keep me on my toes. No 2 days are alike. And they're definitely the driving success behind me. Outside of that, I have been in the apartment industry for a little over 15 years now, which is crazy to think about.
Wow.
I started in the industry as a part-time leasing consultant, working my way up with no real intentions to ever stay here or to be full-time. And yet here we are. And, I've served in a multitude of roles. I am well known for my role at NAA, where I served as the industry operations manager for 2 years. And now I am with Grace Hill, have been there for almost a year, which is crazy to think about. And I oversee their content strategy, their communications, and their social media. So I am absolutely thrilled to be here today, and hopefully you'll get some great nuggets of wisdom and inspiration from our conversation.
No doubts. I am believing these. They're going to be nuggets all over the place. I'm going to have to get my broom out. We're going to have to sweep them up and just put them all together. So this is going to be fabulous. And Stephanie, I have to tell you, as a father of 4 kids, I understand how amazing it is to have your kids around and just the inspiration that comes from them as well. So I'm applauding you for all that you do as a mom, so that and everything else you do. So congratulations on all of that. So Stephanie, because you've inspired so many people, I like to connect with people and ask what inspires you. And you and I connected briefly beforehand, and you had shared with me some things that inspire you. And so I want to kind of dig into that and find out what inspires you. And the first one you shared is, which I'm really liking this, is you talked about believing in yourself and finding value in yourself and investing in yourself. I really liked how you really focused on kind of an internal inspiration. So tell us a little bit more about what that means to you.
Growing up, I had a lot of wonderful role models, strong women in my life. And that was kind of the feeding force behind my inspiration at that point. When I really started to get into the career world, I knew that I wanted to join what we would call corporate America. I knew I wanted to kind of climb that ladder and really get a seat at the table. Interestingly enough, though, there wasn't anyone that I could look at specifically at that time in the industry and say that's kind of where I wanted to go or what I wanted to be. And in fact, when we look back at our trajectory, we don't absolutely know what direction we were going to go. And that was kind of me at the time, was figuring out my life, being young and knowing I wanted to be successful, but what exactly did that look like? Well, interestingly enough, after 4 years in the industry, I realized that I was kind of my biggest challenge. I didn't have the confidence in myself. Now, I knew that I did a good job. I showed up to work. I worked really hard. I got along great with people and really enjoyed the business. But I was kind of missing that component of that confidence level that says, I'm in control of me. I'm the person who makes the decisions, and how this story is going to end or each chapter is going to end was really up to me ultimately. And I didn't know that at the time, but realizing, okay, where do I start to find my inspiration? Well, obviously having children is a big part of that inspiration that comes along, but let's just kind of take that out of the equation, especially for any of the viewers who maybe don't have children or don't anticipate having children. Where do you find that? For me, it was if I can't advocate for myself, then who's going to do it for me? I worked for a company at the time that the ongoing joke was, they had a lot of longevity and tenured employees, which is insane to think about now because things have definitely changed. But, 16, 17 years ago, it was people got into these roles and they were what we called lifers, meaning if I wanted to be a property manager, someone was going to have to get hit by a bus, God forbid. I wasn't getting that job because they were doing a great job and there just wasn't any room for growth there. The only growth was really kind of a side to side, a more of a horizontal growth, which we don't really hear back at that time. So for me, it was really important to start believing in myself and saying, you know what, if I'm going to do these things and I'm going to, overcome challenges and be a better version of myself, I have to believe all of that. I can't just show up to work every day and say, well, I did a great job and went home. It was like, no, I did the best job and tomorrow I'm going to do it better.
Oh, I love that. That is absolutely. And Stephanie, one of the things that really kind of stands out to me is, a lot of us, me included, would go to your job and you would just kind of float along. You would just do your job the best you could. And that was it. And I was in a similar situation as you until I discovered, hey, if I want to design my career, if I want to design my future, I have to take it, I have to invest in myself and believe in myself and find those opportunities, because I was in the same position. I was in a great company. And if I wanted to move up, somebody was going to have to die because nobody moved. And I love how you recognize that. And I think that's such a valuable lesson for all of us to identify, if you want to elevate yourself, if you want to grow, then you got to start investing in yourself and start taking control of your career and your opportunities. And Stephanie, I'm so valuable lesson, nuggets, another nugget that you have shared with us. So the nuggets are just piling up already.
I was always told, even as a young child, you can do so much in life, but that people can take things from you, especially tangible things. And my mom always said, if you go out and educate yourself in whatever form or fashion that means. So that does not necessarily mean a formalized education, such as college, for instance, but it means investing in yourself, podcast, books, schooling, whatever that looks like for you. No one can ever take that away from you because that knowledge is yours forever. And that's your power, kind of like your superhero in you. And I've taken that with me throughout. And that's what I've done is invest in myself. And I'll tell you, a lot of times that comes at a cost, and not just a financial cost, but a time cost. And that's a difficult choice people have to make. But just know that you putting in the time and the work now is going to far succeed anything that you could want later.
Wow, that is so powerful. Your mom is super smart, and I think that's a nugget we're going to steal from your mom and share with everybody. So that is fantastic. Now, Stephanie, the second inspirational point that you shared with me, which I so love, is family first, and needing that time to recharge and decompress. So tell us, why is family first so important to you?
Well, you notice when you asked me to introduce myself, one of the things that people will pick up immediately is that before I go into my career and my attributes and any awards and things that I could talk about, I always talk about my family first. And that's really the core of my being. So when you think about not just my success, but also my failures and things that have happened over the years, they're greatly attributed to who I am at the core. And that would be my family. And so good, bad, or ugly, that's who I am. And it's good to share that, because if you don't know that side of me, then you really don't know me at all. And, family first is something that I think is important. It's important in every industry. The reason I mention it so much in the apartment industry is because we're a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, 365-a-day business. We are handling housing, which is one of the most intimate things you could ever do for someone. And to be able to do that and do it effectively, we have to be there. We have to be mentally, physically present for our residents and our employees. And what comes with that is a toll of ourselves. That means our mental health. We sometimes jeopardize ourselves and the things that that we need for ourselves. But how do we find that balance? And yes, I said the B word, Gary, because that's such a controversial term, is finding balance. And no, I don't have the answers. This morning was insanity. Yesterday, I rocked the whole day and I had balance. I own that day. Today's been coordinated chaos. And I have to understand that that's balance and that's okay. And acknowledging that is always important. But I think that we have to think about our business and taking care of our employees. But in order to take care of our employees and our residents, we have to take care of ourselves. And that means we have to take that break. So, family first means if you need to go take them to the doctor, you're going to do that. If that means you need to separate yourself on weekends and unplug and maybe delete apps off your phone so that you are kind of separated from that, we have to do those things.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely wholeheartedly believe in what you just shared. Coordinated chaos is just what a wonderful description of all the things that we do. And Stephanie, I believe that, family is that's foundation of who we are. And if that foundation is not taken care of, not tended to, then everything else that stands on that is going to suffer, is going to be shaky. So I wholeheartedly believe that you've got to unplug. You've got to take care of yourself and your family first, so that everything on top of that will be successful. And coordinated chaos, that is just, that's the word of the day. I am taking that one and I am going to share that because that's fantastic. Absolutely love that.
I do love that word. I'm in my household, I'm the chief, a coordinator of chaos. And that's just how it is. And you know what? Accepting that is really important, because sometimes for those of us who are very structured and like schedules and tasks like myself, that's hard to admit that things are going to be chaos. So I like to say coordinated chaos, because I can't necessarily change the chaos that comes with 3 children, a working full-time mom, a working full-time dad, but I can control what I can control. And that's the coordinated aspect.
Oh, I love it. That is so true. You almost, try and get your arms around the chaos that's just occurring within that. So that is so true. It's wow. I love that. And so, Stephanie, the third point that you shared with me, the inspiration that you hold on to is, you were focused on getting a seat at the table, and you shared that there were some struggles. And this is valuable. You created your own table. I absolutely love that. So you got to share with us what that means and how and why you created your own table.
So let's think about the table as a metaphor for a moment, because I don't want people to think too much of when I use the word table, a lot of times that does refer to like the C-suite in the executive areas. But think about it as a metaphor, wanting to be a part of something much grander than you. And for those of us who are very likable people or want to be liked, we take offense when someone doesn't want us there, even though it may not be personal at all. It could be political. It could be, based on things like job title and pay and things like that. For me, wanting to have that seat at a table was really about having conversations with people and bringing my best self to those conversations. And the best metaphor for that I can kind of give the example of is my local apartment association. Many, many, many moons ago, wanting to be a part of something and deciding that I was going to show up to those events and start meeting people and asking questions and networking, right? And having, discussions about things and building relationships kind of started that. And that's been really instrumental in my career, is those relationships, people you can depend on to help you in the industry. That camaraderie is so important. Now, when we fast forward to think about that table more as a physical table, people are actually really surprised when I tell them that there are still some tables that I'm not invited to sit at. I know.
Wow.
But that's life. And I think the reason I share that more vulnerable side of me is because people see certain things on social media. They see the highlight reel of all the great things, but don't underestimate seeing that success and knowing that there's sweat and tears and hard times that come from that. And not being invited to sit at some of those tables where important decisions were being made led me to say, I'm going to build my own table, a network of people that can come together and everyone gets a say so. Everyone gets to talk about the importance of what we're doing and the discussions and making decisions. And you can actually apply that, to your job. When I had a team of almost 50 people when I was a regional manager, and being able to allow them to all have a say so and to buy into things, whether it's policies and procedures, but you're building that culture, that importance where everybody gets to come to that table. And I wish more of the world would see that and want that, because inclusivity is always been important, but now more so than ever.
Wow, that rings so true. And Stephanie, I love how you don't let, a table that you're possibly not invited to impact your overall demeanor. I mean, you went and said, okay, if I'm not invited this one, I'm going to create a table here that offers value for the people that I can impact. And I love how you took that and understood that, hey, I'm going to include, I'm going to network. And I find this, a lot of people that I talk to, that the networking is so important, connecting with such a diverse crowd. And that's the table that you build of inclusivity and hearing those voices. And that creates a culture of value, that table that you've built by including people. And I think that's absolutely powerful. And I love what you've done there.
It's so important.
Yeah.
When I teach my kids, I try to apply the things that I do in my business to teach them. Well, their ages 4 through 11. So I can't really always take what I'm doing and learning for them to be applicable. And I explain to them about the lunchroom. Can you remember and take yourself back to a time where you went into a lunchroom and you didn't know where to sit? And there are a lot of cliquish relationships that have already happened. How do you either, one, find the confidence to go sit at that table, which is really difficult at all ages in life, especially younger, but two, how do you feel comfortable enough to go sit where you're wanted most? Because do you even want to be somewhere that they didn't want you to begin with? Nice.
And or you just create a table of misfits, and you just create your own value.
Absolutely.
And
there's room for everyone.
Absolutely. And trust me, I've been a part of many tables of misfits, and we've done amazing things together. So, yes. And I think the table of misfits is where you've got the diversity, you've got the, such a broad range of thinking. And I think that's where you build value. So a great analogy, Stephanie. I love that lunchroom table analogy. That's super powerful.
Trying to always bring it down to where someone can relate to something, because it's easy for people to see what I'm doing now and think to themselves, wow, that's really great. In fact, I get several messages a week that say, I want to do what you do. And I always kind of giggle in my mind. I think, I don't know, what do I do? But I want them to see that can be you. And in fact, it was not always well orchestrated as it comes out to be now. Like, people will say, Stephanie, we love your brand. We love the brand that you created. And I would love to tell you, Gary, that was just this masterpiece that was waiting. But in fact, it was truly organic, that happened over time as I realized where I wanted to go and who I wanted to be there with me when I made it to that place.
That is awesome. It's that coordinated chaos. You just keep working on it.
Which is why you have to keep the faith and always believe in yourself, because times they're going to get tough. Yeah. And there's going to be times, believe it or not, people don't even know this half the time, but I almost left the industry not once, not twice, but 3 different times. Wow. Because I would get down on myself many years ago and think, well, there's not room for me at the table. I wanted a promotion that I felt I was deserving of, and either someone else got it or there wasn't, a promotion available. All these things have happened over time. And had I not continued to believe in myself and realized that there was light at the end of that tunnel, I would have given up everything.
Wow.
And given up on people who were watching my story. And those are the people who you want to work hardest for. You want to be inspiration for them.
Absolutely. And those are the people that you're inspiring, not only yourself, but other people. So what a great way to wrap this up, Stephanie. You have been absolutely incredible. I can't tell you the amount of nuggets I've got all over the place. And I'm going to
You're going to be cleaning all day.
I'm going to be cleaning up all day and putting these together so we can share with everybody. Stephanie, I want to give you a chance to close us out with a parting thought. What do you got?
Okay, a parting thought. Outside from the advice that I've already shared in terms of believing in yourself and really finding that seat at the table, I just want people to do good in the world and to be better in whatever capacity that looks like. I have made New Year's resolutions year in and year out. And I decided this year that I was still going to set goals, smart goals, like I've always done, but to not get caught up in a lot of the trendy things out there, because my story is very different from yours and others. And so I need to have things that are, smart and measurable, right? But I want to also have things that people can look at and know that they can get there too, and that anything in life is possible. I've been reading more than ever. I've been manifesting, which is something I have not done in the past. And just thinking about how to get to a next level. And the next level doesn't necessarily mean up here. It could mean right here, right? It's the difference in what you're doing and the impact that you're making on the world. And I just want to inspire people to think about what they're doing each and every day. And even if it's something super small that you do that you feel so good about, let's do more of that, because that's what the world needs. And the impact, whether it's this big or this big, you have no idea the impact that you have on others when you do those things. And so we're going to do more of that. We're going to find more joy and happiness. And I'm going to be here as the biggest cheerleader, rooting everybody on.
I love it. Stephanie, I have nothing else to add to that. You are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for bringing your wisdom and your inspiration and that amazing closing thought. Do more of that. Do more of the inspiration that you guys are unique to you, because it really does impact other people. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Super Fantastic Exchange. You guys give it up for Stephanie. Please find her on LinkedIn. She's absolutely incredible. Great inspiration out there. So please check her out, find her, follow her. Absolutely amazing. Thank you guys again for joining us on the Super Fantastic Exchange, and we'll see you on the next episode. We'll see you.
Thank you.